Well, I'll tell you what, folks. It's pretty interesting because Facebook, once again, I want to start my show, and I couldn't start the show, so I have to try it again. I'm remembering the days, for I went away, way back in the hills of old Vermont. And the orchard on the hill, I think I see it still, way back in the hills of old Vermont. Tonight I long to be where the catamount run free and the rattlesnake can lie out in the sun, near the voices of the loons when the apple blossoms bloom, way back in the hills of old Vermont. There used to be a barn near the old fishing pond, way back in the hills of old Vermont. So many fields of hay now gone with yesterday, way back in the hills of old Vermont. For tonight I long to be where the catamount run free and the rattlesnake can lie out in the sun, near the voices of the loons when the apple blossoms bloom, way back in the hills of old Vermont. Well, everything has changed, nothing stays the same, way back in the hills of old Vermont. Like that old brown panther's roar, you won't hear that no more, way back in the hills of old Vermont. For tonight I long to be where the catamount run free and the rattlesnake can lie out in the sun, near the voices of the loons when the apple blossoms bloom, way back in the hills of old Vermont. But when the rains came down and flooded many towns, way back in the hills of old Vermont, all the neighbors lent a hand for the loving of the land, way back in the hills of old Vermont. For tonight I long to be where the catamount run free and the rattlesnake can lie out in the sun, near the voices of the loons when the apple blossoms bloom, way back in the hills of old Vermont. Well, this is Rik Palieri back here in the hills of old Vermont. And Mariana says it looks good. And Truffles, I know. Did you get that? What happened? Say hello to everybody, Truffles. Well, what happened was I went to go do my live stream, and all of a sudden I'm pressing the button to start, and it's not starting. So I was all set up, and I had all the information up, and everything was ready to go, and then nothing. So that was one of the reasons why I had to start again, and that's always frustrating. It's always a kind of a frustrating thing when you try to do something and it doesn't work. But that's sort of life. We've talked about that before. I mean, the whole purpose of this show is just to have a little bit of fun. Every week we get on and we talk about different things, sing a few songs, tell some stories, and just for good old fashioned fun. And I thought that I would talk about a few things today. Let's see. One of them is that probably everybody knows about it. In that big international song contest, the Ukrainian group, they did this wonderful song, and it won, and it had folk elements in it, and I think it was Stefana or some Stefania was the name of the song, a beautiful song this guy wrote about his mom, and he played something similar to this type of what they call an octave flute. So I thought I would talk about that a little bit because you probably, if you watch the Stephen Colbert, that he went out and he got one of these things because he was impressed by the sound, and so I thought that it would be interesting just to talk about it just for a second, and so it is just basically a long stick that's hollowed out. It's hollowed in here. You can see it's hollow here, but on this side, you see it has a little, like almost like a fipple, like you would with a recorder. And in Poland, especially in Zakopane, they like to play this instrument, and over in Istebna where I lived, and you make the sound, by moving your finger and blowing and like watch. You could do this first. I get the low note. Then the next one, and blow harder. And you can go. So you get that kind of the sound of this octave flute. So if you ever get a chance to play one of these things, like I said, it's not it's more like you're thinking about where's the note, you know, and and by just blowing on it, these different notes come out. So just by moving your finger around and blowing, you get the idea. So that's this one kind of instrument here, and anybody who's been following my Facebook, you saw that I was able to get um, a special instrument. There's a little seal here that was on the package, and you can see the seal that it came from. Right? Whoa, okay, Rick, put your hand on the right place. That's right. It came from Ukraine, and is the Vlad Harps. Vlad Harps is the guy who makes these, and I talked about it before about the idea that when the war in Ukraine broke out, uh, he had a few instruments left, and he went with his family, and they were going to try to go near the uh, and he would try to sell as many of the instruments that he still had in this bag. And when I saw that, I thought that was a pretty interesting idea. And so I went over to Vlad Harp's on I think it's on eBay, and I saw that they had all of these different harps. And as you can see, here is the harp. This is a Jaws harp. Now I'm going to try to bring it close here. Oh, okay, there, you get the idea, right? Okay, and it's a big Jaws harp, as you can see, and unusual, very unusual instrument. And the thing that I kind of liked about this was you can put it up against your lip. And you get this different sounds. And so the way that you're getting, I'm playing it more on my lips. Now you can play it on your teeth, you know, but you got to watch out because it'll hit your teeth. You know, so you got to make your mouth wide enough. So you get these different sounds up, but on your lips, I think it gets this is like a bass Jaws harp. So it has, I think it has a more interesting sound on your lips, and you don't have to worry as much about your teeth. You can hear the different sounds out of that. So this is a Jaws harp, and it's one of those things that funny kind of instrument that you can get all these different sounds out. And if you really practice on it, you can try to get some tunes out of it too. So I'm going to work on it a little bit. So I just got this just about not even a week ago. So this is the one that I got, and I'm going to bring it right in here so you can really see this thing there. You can see it. There's the tip there, and so this is the Jaws harp. And look at it. This is a cool case that he made that goes with the harp. So you put the harp so you don't damage this part here where you know you're actually making it the sound, and you put it in here and it fits right in that hole. And then he has this thing, and you kind of like that. Now isn't that cool? And the neat thing about it was you're supporting supporting somebody who's a musician who's struggling over in Ukraine. And I thought that was a kind of an interesting thing to do. So I wanted to share that with you. And it's kind of just another one of those fun instruments. And I've got a banjo here. As you know, I'm still recovering from my shoulder. wake up, darling Corey. Well, what makes you sleep so sound? Them revenue officers are coming, gonna tear your still house down. Go away, darling Corey, quit hanging around my bed. Corn liquors ruin my body. First time I seen darling Corey, she was sitting on the banks of the sea. Had a 45 strapped around her bosom and a banjo on her knee. And the last time I seen darling Corey, she had a dram glass in her hand. She was drinking away her trouble with a no good gambling man. Dig a hole in the meadow. Dig a hole in the cold, cold ground. Dig a hole in the meadow. Gonna lay darling Corey down. Oh, darling Corey, one of the songs that I've always loved, and kind of fun to play it on the banjo again. And it's still, my hand is getting better, so I can get in the banjo zone. Now, you know, we talk about the banjo zone, and like Mariana and I, every morning we get up and we do this thing called Calm, or Daily J, which is this kind of meditation thing. And one day this week they were talking about getting in the zone, and that's what happens to me sometimes when I'm playing the banjo. Is I get in the banjo zone, and I think the interesting thing that they were saying about getting in the zone, it's when you really focus into what you're doing, where and make it sort of challenging, where everything fades away. You know, the time fades away. Everything kind of you know. The only thing that matters is that moment that you're into that creativity. And I get into that kind of thing. Howard's dead and gone, left me here to sing this song. Poor Howard's dead and gone, left me here to sing this song. 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 Who's been here since I've been gone? Little gal with a red dress on. Who's been here since I've been gone? Little gal with a red dress on. Little gal with a red dress on. since I've been gone? Big fat man with a derby on. Who's been here since I've been gone? Big fat man with a derby on. 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 Poor Howard's dead and gone. Let me hear him sing the song. Poor Howard's dead and gone. Let me hear him sing the song. Let me hear him sing the song. Let me hear him sing this song. Let me hear him sing this song. Let me hear him sing this song. Oh, poor Howard's dead and gone. Poor Howard's dead and gone. Poor Howard's dead and gone. Let me hear him sing this song. Poor Howard's dead and gone. All right, Mariana's here. Osling Bain, happy everything you all, and Pamela Zapperdino. Yeah, it's great to see you folks here. Okay, so link to Colbert's piece about the Eurovision contest. So maybe Mariana will put that up there. So, you know, I've been kind of having fun playing the banjo, and my arm is starting to heal. Get carried away after a while. Yeah, you're just having fun here, picking on the banjo. But we almost are out of time, and I wanted to... Oh, it's been a bit of a crazy show because of this whole idea that I did not know whether the show was actually going to come on or it wasn't going to come on at all because I couldn't turn it on. So I'm going to put on these picks here. Let's see if I can put on the picks. Let's see if I put the picks on right. All right, put the picks on right. Sometimes I have a devil of a time with finger picks. Let's see. Let's see. We're still in tune. Well, old pal, we're talking about poor Howard's dead and gone. Well, I guess it was many years ago we lost Utah Phillips. And I want to do this song thinking about Utah. Go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. I know your clothes are torn and ragged, and your hair is turning gray. Lift your head and smile on troubles. You'll find peace and rest someday. Help me now. Go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. I know the policeman cause you trouble. They cause trouble everywhere. When you die and go to heaven, there'll be no policemen there. So go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. Well, I guess that's about all the time that we have. I'll see you next week, and maybe this time it'll actually turn on in time so that we can start when I want to. I hope you had a good time. I always enjoy being with you. And next week, I'm sure we'll be able to do some more fun stuff. But until then, keep safe, keep singing, and call a good friend. Tell them that you're thinking about them, okay? Go to sleep, you weary hobo. Let the towns drift slowly by. Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby. See you next time.